Hey everyone and welcome. So, you've probably heard the word Linux thrown around and thought it sounded, well, kind of complicated, right? Today, we're going to change that. We're going to break it all down using a super simple idea. Think of this as a guided tour of a very special, very powerful digital apartment building. Okay, just stick with me on this one. This is the one question I want you to keep in your head for this whole explainer, because it's the key that unlocks absolutely everything. What if a computer wasn't some mysterious black box, but was actually something we all get, like a place where things live and work together? All right, the tour officially begins now. So for the next few minutes, forget about computers. We are talking about this building and the company that runs this whole shebang, the management company. That's what we call an operating system. Okay, let's get the one quick technical definition out of the way. An operating system, the OS, is the boss. It's the master software that manages everything. You've definitely used one before. Windows and macOS are the big ones. Linux is just another kind of OS, but as you're about to see, it's designed in a really special way. So here's where it all clicks into place. The OS is the building manager. Its only job is to make sure the lights stay on, the plumbing works, and security is tight so that all the tenants, and those are your apps by the way, can do their thing without any problems. And Linux? Well, Linux is a very efficient building manager. All right, our first stop on the tour isn't the fancy lobby. Nope, we're going straight to the basement, down to the heart of the entire operation where all the real power is. Welcome to the engine room. In the world of Linux, this engine room has a name, the kernel. And it's not just some important part, it is the absolute core. It has complete, total control over every single thing that happens inside our digital building. Nothing happens without it knowing. The kernel is the building's control center. I want you to picture this bustling room with monitors, levers, phones ringing. Every single request, from an app wanting to use a little more memory to saving a file, has to go through this central hub. So what is this control center actually doing all day? Well, it's managing all of the physical stuff, the electricity, the water pressure, the storage space. In computer terms, that's your CPU, memory, and disks. It's also playing traffic cop, deciding which program gets to do something and when. And of course, it's in charge of security, who has the keys to what doors. It is the ultimate multitask. This brings up a really crucial idea. There are basically two states of being in this building. You've got kernel mode, that's being inside the control room. You have access to everything, no restrictions. Then you have user mode, that's being a regular tenant in your apartment. You can do whatever you want inside your own four walls, but if you want to, say, reroute the building's plumbing, you got to call the control room and ask permission. This separation is absolutely key for keeping things stable and secure. Okay, enough of the basement. Let's head upstairs and see how we and our programs actually live in and interact with this building day to day. When you need to get something done in the building, your first stop is usually something called the shell. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but it's really just the way you talk to the building manager. Instead of clicking on pretty icons, you just type out your request. The absolute best way to think of the shell is as the building's reception desk. You just walk up to the desk and say what you want. Hey, call maintenance for apartment 4B, or show me a list of everyone who's currently home. The receptionist, that's the shell, understands you and makes sure the right department gets the message. Simple as that. So, who's actually living and working here? Well, everyone falls into one of two camps, processes and daemons. A process is just any program that's currently running. A daemon? That's a bit different. It's a special kind of helper that just runs quietly in the background, taking care of business. So let's bring our building to life, shall we? Processes are your tenants. You can see them coming and going. Your web browser, your music player, they're all tenants. Daemons, though, they're the invisible staff that keeps the place running smoothly. The automatic cleaning crew, the system that sorts the mail, the security patrol, they work tirelessly in the background so you and your tenants don't have to worry about it. Okay, with this many tenants and staff running around, things could get chaotic pretty fast, right? That's why any good building needs a solid floor plan and a really clear set of rules about who can go where. Now, here's one of the most powerful and, honestly, coolest ideas in Linux. Everything is treated as a file. A text document is a file, sure, but so is your printer, so is your mouse. Even other programs are represented as files. And all these files are organized neatly into directories or folders, all starting from one single place called root. So in our building, the file system is literally the floor plan. It's the collection of every apartment, every office, every storage closet, and every filing cabinet.
And that root directory, the one shown with a single slash, that's the main lobby. Every single room in the entire building can be reached by starting in that lobby and following the right hallways. But of course, you can't just wander into any room you feel like. You need the right key. This is called permissions, and it's pretty simple really. There are 3 basic types of keys. A read key lets you look inside a room to see what's there. A write key lets you go in and change things around, and an execute key that lets you use any special equipment inside that room, like turning on a machine. This simple system is the foundation of Linux security.
So we've explored the control center, we've met the tenants, we've checked out the security system. Now let's just take a step back for a second and ask, why is this specific type of building so popular all over the world?
First off, it's really important to know that you don't just get Linux all by itself. What you actually get is a Linux distribution, or what everyone calls a distro. A distro is the whole package. It's that powerful Linux kernel at its core, plus a whole collection of software and tools, all bundled up and ready to go.
The best way to think about distros is to imagine different brands or styles of our apartment building. You know, an Ubuntu building might be sleek and modern, with a user-friendly lobby and all the amenities included. A CentOS building might be more of a no-frills, industrial loft space designed for heavy-duty work. But here's the crucial part. No matter what they look like on the outside, they are all built on the exact same rock-solid foundation with that same powerful control center, the kernel, in the basement. So why does practically everyone, from giant tech companies to hobbyists, choose this blueprint? Well, it comes down to a few big reasons. First, stability. That kernel control center is legendary. It just doesn't crash. Second, security. That system of keys and locks is incredibly effective at keeping things safe. Third, flexibility. You can use this exact same design for a skyscraper-sized supercomputer or scale it all the way down to fit inside a tiny smartwatch. And finally, community. You've got this huge worldwide team of volunteers, superintendents, and tenants who are constantly making the building better and are always there to help newcomers.
And that brings our tour to a close. If you take away just one thing today, let it be this. Linux isn't some scary, complicated code. At its heart, it's just a really well-run, secure, and unbelievably customizable apartment building with an amazing control center running the show.
So we've walked you through the blueprint, you've seen how all the pieces fit together. The only question left is, now that you know how it works, what are you going to build with it? Thanks so much for joining the tour.